Uh, as usual, our weather in Bugolo is very nice, bright, no rain. And I hope you're all enjoying the same weather that side. Most welcome once again to all our older adults, to our caregivers. And in today's session, we particularly want to invite people we stay with in our homes, people like house helpers, people like farm hands. In case you have one around, make sure they listen to this because it's useful for them to have this knowledge in order for you to keep healthy. Yeah, for those guests who may be joining us for the first time, Purposeful Aging would like to share all about health and environment in the heading today, Health and Environment Toxin, Managing Chemicals in Our Food Chain. It's a wide topic, but very, very necessary for us to keep healthy. There's a lot of work which has been done in the environment, and we seem to always stop it at trees, cleanliness, but forget some other chemicals which are inevitably in the environment. I want to draw your attention to a particular remark by Margaret Chan on her Twitter handle in 2015, December, where she commented about the environment in relation to our health. And in short, she emphasized that a ruined planet cannot sustain human lives in good health. A health planet and health people are two sides of the same coin. So when we talk about our health, we inevitably have to have the environment at the back of our minds. This morning, we are privileged to have a Dr. Gordon Sematiko with us to take us through this subject. It's a big one, so straight away I'll go on to introduce him. Dr. Gordon Sematiko Katende is a pharmacist. At one point in his life, he was a representative of to Parliament of Uganda for the constituency of Mityana North. So he's Honorable Gordon Katende Sematiko. After that stint in Parliament, he went on to head National Drug Authority, which is known as NDA in short. He's a farmer of both coffee and tea. And he not only loves environment, but takes great pride in making it safe by planting trees. And more importantly, sharing the wisdom he has gathered over the years. I happen to come from the same constituency and the same village like him, and I can testify that he has planted, he has donated many, many trees, thousands of trees to the village, and actually physically participated in planting trees. And he does not miss a chance to educate the crowds, the gatherings about environment and health and how the interaction with drugs and all that happens in our lives. So as villagers, we are very proud of him. And Dr. Sematiko, I want to welcome you so much and thank you for accepting to come and be with us today. Dr. Sematiko, good morning.
Okay. Good morning to you, Dr. Christina Kadama.
Sorry, just a minute. Before you, we have about 27 seniors and caregivers, seniors commonly known as old adults, and caregivers who may be younger, much ranging from 20 something to 50, who are ready to listen to you and participate in the discussion after your talk. We do have you do have 40 minutes with us to talk to us, and we shall try to keep our questions and comments in the chat room until such a time that you've finished, and we will have an open session with you. We are very, very privileged to have you this morning. Thank you so much for having us, for joining us this morning. And the floor is yours. You can greet us and go straight ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for those pleasant introductory remarks. I'm happy to hear that my services are being appreciated. And when you hear it when you are still alive, it gives morale. I'm grateful. I also thank you for inviting me to talk to the elders and the youth, especially on this critical subject matter. I want to state that I'm always taken interest in supporting a clean environment and also sharing whatever I have to share. This is a very big subject. I'll try to concentrate on areas where we have control over and to fit within the available time. If opportunity is there, we shall talk about others maybe in the future. So my presentation is basically on the current situation in our community, and I would like to share. Can I get the sharing rights?
Yes, I think that is possible.
You do have the sharing rights already.
You do have.
Okay. Okay. So I would like to share my presentation where I've tried to be brief, and because with the screen it is easier to follow, and but I don't see my presentation coming. I don't know why. Do you see it now?
It's coming. Yes, yes, we are beginning to see it.
Okay. It's now clear. So the
Very
subject,
clear.
okay, is health and environmental toxins, and also how we can manage chemicals in our food chain, because most of these chemicals end up developing toxins, and those are the ones which affect us. I'll try to use the very chemical names, but simplified to make sure that we all follow, those who are not scientists, for the benefit of our community. So this presentation is specifically organized for the Purposeful Aging team. And the content briefly will be first to understand what are environmental toxins, how do we get exposed to these chemicals in our environment, what are the dangers of these chemicals, and how can we avoid exposure to these chemicals and their harmful effects. And lastly, final tips and takeaway from this presentation, and then we can have a discussion. So toxins, when we talk of toxins, these are harmful substances, either produced internally, like waste or metabolic byproducts, or encountered externally to our bodies. Chemicals, pollution, heavy metals that disrupt bodily functions and cause disease by damaging cells and organs. So naturally, the liver, kidneys, and lungs are efficient at eliminating these products, but overload can occur from environmental pollution, poor diet, chronic exposure, leading to disease or death. So if there is no excess, our bodies usually manage. Now, which are these toxins? There are generally 5 types of toxins or toxicities in our environment. We have chemical, biological, physical, radioactive, and behavioral. Now, the chemicals we have, which we commonly find in our community or environment, are these fungicides, which are used in human, animal, and agriculture practices. We have insecticides, which are used even domestically in our farms and in animals. Acaricides, these are chemicals used to kill ticks in our animals and goats, cattle. Then herbicides, these are chemicals used to kill herbs or grasses and trees. And of course, we have common chemicals found in cosmetics, which we use in human life. So what are these biological biotoxins? Now, the biological are caused from bacteria, like you find tetanus toxin. Then there are mycotoxins, which are by fungi, which you commonly know as mushrooms and whatever, and aflatoxins. These are commonly found in contaminated grains. When we talk of aflatoxins to a common person, this is when you eat groundnuts and you find something bitter, you chew a bitter groundnut, that is the sure case it has some aflatoxin or sometimes maize. So plant toxins, these are strychnine from castor oil beans, and these are like ricinin, very toxic. Common man, castor beans is in soga, which we commonly grow. Then marine biotoxins, these are venoms. Venoms are from snakes and insects. Then animal venom, like stings and bites from snakes and spiders. I hope I'm being clear. Am I clear?
Yes, we can. We are following.
And the speed is okay?
Yes.
Okay. So then the physical toxins, these are substances that interfere with biological processes and cause tissue damage. Like we have silica and asbestos. I think commonly most people know that asbestos is dangerous, but how dangerous it is from those particulate fibers. And corrosive or strong acids. If you open a bottle of any acid or corrosive, you feel that punch, and or asphyxious gases, carbon monoxide, methane, and also we have what is water intoxication, where somebody has a lot of water in his body. Also in our community, we have radioactive, commonly known as radionuclides. These are unstable atoms that release ionizing radiation as they decay. They are dangerous because they damage the DNA cell structures, causing cancer and cardiovascular diseases. Commonly, we have the iodine, the strontium, the radium, and uranium. These are commonly contacted in industry and in mining, and not so much in our community, except the X-rays, which we get during medical treatment or cancer treatment. Where? I want to move. It is not moving. Wow. I'm sorry, my slides are not moving. Okay. Then we have behavioral toxins. Yeah, it has moved. Behavioral toxins, as I put there, that mental, because sometimes they can say, oh, Gordon is toxic. And what? That means you have those behavioral moods or mood swings. These are chemical or biological or pharmaceutical agents that disrupt the central nervous system, resulting in abnormal behavior, impairing cognition, or altering motor coordination. This can lead to memory loss or mood swing. So these are also chemicals which are interacted in the industry, and also sometimes we recommend that you define personal boundaries to protect yourself and follow industry regulation to avoid chemical toxins, especially in workplaces. Now, which are the common sources of toxins which we can avoid? First, the environmental pollution, air pollution. We have water pollution, where chemicals in products and heavy metals descend and end up in our environment. And my footnote there, I put, for example, in 2024, May, Mr. Richard Musota, of Minister of Water, stated that 47% Upper Nile water sources, that is boreholes, springs, drill wells, are polluted and thus unfit for domestic use. Secondly, also in accordance to WHO guidelines, Uganda air quality is considered unsafe, and recent data, that is as recent as the last year, annual mean concentration of air quality is PM 2050 micrograms per square meter in Uganda, exceeding the recommended 10 micrograms per square meter. And also, this is very scaring. That's why when you see things which happened like yesterday in Kawala, where they are trying to remove people from the swamps, we make a lot of alarm. But if you have this behind your knowledge that this air and water pollution, we are in excess, which over and above international acceptable standards. Then internal waste. The internal waste, metabolic waste products like carbon dioxide, urea, and byproducts of hormone metabolism. These sometimes get unknowingly. And then lifestyle factors, processed foods, they have a lot of chemicals, tobacco. Of course, Uganda, we have very good laws and they greatly minimize tobacco and smoking, and alcohol. Of course, we don't smoke tobacco, but we smoke a lot of gases from burnt charcoal and others. Then occupational factors, the use of acaricides, those are the chemicals killing ticks, then pesticide and herbicides. These are the major sources of our toxins which we interact with. And then microbial toxins produced by bacteria, fungi within the bodies. Then how do we get exposed to these chemicals or toxins? First, during manufacturing, as you say, some people in factories where they are dealing with these chemicals are not protected. They have no masks, glasses or protective wear, and there are no monitors to see that the environment has exceeded acceptable levels. During storage, even warehouses, even shops. If you enter any agrochemical industry or agrochemical shop in Uganda, mention any, the moment you enter, you get those fumes of these chemicals attacking you immediately. There's at least from pharmacies and drug shops, you feel there is no any chemical. But once you enter the agrochemical places, you feel it. During transportation, there is a lot of fumes from vehicles and also how they are stored, these chemicals. During mixing, people are not protected when they are mixing or diluting. And also during spraying, this is worse. Most people are spraying without masks and without glasses, without protective gear, both for these insecticides, acaricides, and also even applying, whether they are in form of powders and others, or even disposal. When you go to any farm, you find when they use any chemicals, they throw away the containers anywhere, and also mainly from contaminated air, water, and soil. There's also being ingested in food without proper post-harvest management. That is not washing the contaminated food. Contaminated indirectly or directly when you want to kill insects on the food. Direct or indirect by not observing withdrawal period in plant, birds, and animals. Well, most of the chemicals used in the animal industry or even agriculture have a half-life, and the manufacturers usually recommend that don't eat before this period, but we don't observe that, and we end up ingesting the chemicals. When what what happens when you get this toxic overload, and why should we care? When toxin levels exceed the body's ability to remove them, the action of the body can be acute. That is, within seconds or minutes, somebody collapses, or can be chronic, long time exposure. And this is the most dangerous because majority of us never realize it. And children and people with underlying conditions, and especially the aging, like these group members, get sicker and have harder times recovering. So what happens? First, there could be organ damage. They damage the liver, which is supposed to be filtering or leading to potential failure, or the kidney. Inflammation, the chronic inflammation from exposure of these chemicals. The easiest inflammation seen is the macula, which is seen on the skin. But what happens inside the bodies, nobody cares to know. Could be systematic or systemic disruption, impaired enzyme functions, damaged cell membranes, and hormonal disruption. There could be physical symptoms, potential symptoms of overload, that's going to fatigue, skin issues, digestive issues, sneezing, and others. For example, insecticide paraceon contaminated wheat in India, and 100 people died in Kerala. That was 1958. And also, it has been recognized that glycophosates, which we use and paraquat, commonly used in Uganda, affects birth defects for pregnant women who use them. But we unknowingly use, even the pregnant women do the spraying, and when you go in our community. It has also been observed and researched identified that there is reduced fertility for people who are using these chemicals. And it was also observed in one of our national parks that the chimpanzees, the gorillas, which were accessing maize in a farm next to the sanctuary, had lost fertility because of these chemicals, herbicides, which are being used. Wow. Oh, again, my screen is jamming. Apologies. Wow. Okay, we proceed. Then some of these chemicals which we get, if you appreciate their nature, then you'll understand why we have to care. For example, fungicides, these are a specific type of pesticides or chemicals or biological in origin that controls fungal disease. And their effect is by inhibiting growth of fungal spores or killing fungus causing the disease. They are classified according to how they work. First, the contact fungicides. These are not taken up into the plant tissues if they are sprayed and protect only the area where the spray is deposited. And normally they are in powder form. So those are localized. Then we have translaminar fungicides. They redistribute the fungicide from the upper sprayed leaf surface to the lower unsprayed surface. So if you spray, for example, on potatoes, the fungicide does not stay in the leaves alone. It goes up to the roots, the tubers. The systemic fungicide, these are taken up and redistributed through the xylem vessels. Some are locally systemic and some move upwards. These are easily consumed in the food chain because they remain within the plant. Then the insecticides. These are agents of chemical or biological origin also used to control insects. First, by either killing them, deterring them from feeding, or preventing undesirable or destructive insect behavior. Sometimes they also affect their mating and others. So they are also classified according to the method of application and by the way they enter the insect's body. Many insecticides take effect in more than one way and target more than one insect. Then we have, like, for example, the stomach insecticides. These are applied on the surface of plants or are added to the bait. The insecticide is eaten along with the food material by insects that chew such, for example, caterpillars and other insects. So you find that if you eat this insect, you are already getting the insecticide if it is not yet, it has not yet been worked on. These are the contact insecticide. These are sprayed or dusted on the insect's body. The poison is absorbed through the body wall. Most soft-bodied insects are vulnerable to contact insecticides like lice, black spot on vegetable flowers. I put a simple example, like killing bololo, commonly known as bololo in our birds. They are known as bird mites or poultry mite. We spread it and this powder stays for long, so can easily also get contacted since it is dusted and left to stay for days. So we can easily absorb it or even ingest it. Then other insecticides are like fumigants. These are insecticides, gases. They're in gas form because insects that lack the out of reach, that is those which hide uh, uh, and you can't see them, are killed when they breathe the gas, like the bedbugs and others. In addition, the soil may be fumigated to destroy grubs or wireworms that attack. So it is advised when you are using fumigants to spray the place after evacuating occupants or for a given time or hours. Even in the house, when you fumigate, you get out and you come back. Then there are those residual insecticides. These are applied to foliage and they have long-lasting effect as they remain on the surface for a longer time, days, weeks, or months. And these are the most dangerous in our food chain because they stay on the plant and we consume this plant when the chemicals are still live and active. So these insects absorb the deadly doses by touching the poisonous surface. We use these chemicals, the residue insecticide, like for indoor residue spray for mosquito. So it will be on your wall for months or years. Common ingredients include pyrethroids, boric acid, and others. These are not good for our environment because they stay in the environment for a long time and they are big factors or pollutants. Then the systemic insecticide, these are absorbed by plant tissues so that when the insects feed the sap, they are controlled. That means if you are to eat the plant, you are now the insect. So we should be careful that these type of chemicals are not used on edible food crops. They should be used on shrubs and trees, but not for edible food crops. Because if you spray the cabbage, when you spray the mangoes, it will be in the tissue of that product. And that's the reason why we always recommend to get advice from the technical people before you apply any chemical. Rather than saying, my brother used this chemical, it killed the caterpillars, and this I should also use it. What are the common agricultural insecticides used in Uganda? For example, we have striker, very common. This is a broad spectrum insecticide used in cabbage and the others. We have Actara, is a systemic insecticide for sucking, chewing insects on vegetables, even in coffee. We have Rocket, also very commonly used on tomatoes, cotton, in bananas and coffee. We have Duducyper, also very commonly used. It is a contact and stomach insecticide. We have Anvil, controls pests in fields like maize and potatoes. We have Galil 300, it gives termites, termiticide, the termites and insecticide for vegetables and fruits. We have Level 2.4, it's a biological insecticide for spider mites and aphids. Also used in household stored grains. So all these chemicals, when you store your maize, your beans, you can use some of these chemicals, but you have already seen how dangerous they are. Actelic used for grain storage and controlling warehouse pests. And Privex or lava, popular for bedbugs and cockroaches. We have Pestman bedbug killer, effective for rapid bedbug control. All these have very many brand names on the market, but these are the major chemical contents in these insecticides which are commonly used. And we interuse, sometimes we combine two of them without any scientific backing. Now, to appreciate that we not only use insecticides, we also use herbicides. These herbicides are chemicals used to kill or inhibit the growth of undesirable vegetation like weeds or invasive species. We use them in our compounds, in our farm. Some herbicides act by interfering with the growth of the weeds and are often synthetic means of the natural hormones. So they can be foliage, that is you spray, or soil herbicides. They are those which you spray on the soil and even no vegetation comes out. They kill the seeds and the plants. Now, the contact herbicides kill only the plant organs with which they are in contact, while translocated herbicides are effective against roots or other organs to which they are transported from above ground treated surfaces. So you spray on top and up to the roots, everything is dead. Herbicides in Uganda include a wide range of selective herbicides. For example, 2,4-D amine, mostly used on broadleaves, and the amitrine, binicline, and non-selective glyphosate, which most people like because it kills everything. Paraquat, even people are using it in weeding eucalyptus and the rest. Weed Master, the Djembe. We have so many brands of non-selective acaricides. They are found in pre-emergencies and used to manage weeds in maize, sugarcane, and horticulture. So we are using herbicides all around. Now, one which I picked out is the Roundup glyphosate. It has so many names, Weed Master, Djembe, and the rest. Having been so heavily used worldwide, this herbicide is now found in the soil, water, air, and even in humans. Roundup may also remain as a residue on edible crops. Many studies have found harm to the environment and to health, making it imperative to regulate the use of Roundup and to ensure that its various formulations pose no danger when used for the long time. Unfortunately, regulators may also assess the active ingredient glyphosate and not the toxic combinants. Now, it has a shelf life of over 110 days. Now, as a simple example to show how we quickly absorb these chemicals in our food chain. I choose always to give the example of cabbage. Cabbage is a very good example of a very cheap food. It is eaten by all religious believers, tribes, race. It is eaten by the rich, the poor. It is in the homes, in the schools, in the hotels. It is cheap to buy and easy to cook. It is delicious. It is nutritional. So it's an item which is a good example for all. It matures in only 90 days, but once the seeds are put in the nursery bed, after 2 weeks, they apply folio or ground fertilizers, normally NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. They put insecticide and fungicides because insects bite them, and the fungus and other things. Then after 1 month or about 3 weeks, they transplant the young cabbages into the garden. And again, they apply fertilizers, herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides. So at around 3 weeks, the head formation begins. Now, it doesn't stop the farmer from continuing to spray the folio fertilizers, the herbicides, the insecticides, and the fungicides. We have already seen the herbicides, the insecticides, and fungicides, their effect. Now, between 75 to 90 days, it begins to mature, and that's when it is harvested. But even during that time, the farmers continue to spray to avoid insect attack, fungal infection. Note that pesticides and herbicides used have soil half-life ranging from 30 days to 6 months or more after spraying, which means even at the time of harvest, some of these chemicals are still active within the cabbage. But farmers never observe any withdrawal period, yet they use herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides all on one crop with that high frequency within the 75 to 90 days. So when you consume this cabbage, this is what you are going with. So cabbages are often served without cleaning or washing off the above chemical residues. This is the same for even some other fruits, the mangoes, the oranges, which are sprayed. For cabbages, normally they remove the top leaves to expose the inner leaves, which look to the common eye that they are clean. They slice, prepare, and serve. This is very common on the roadside barbecue, in the homes, in restaurants, pork joints, where they only remove the top leaves and fry or serve fresh with all those chemicals which you have seen sprayed on it frequently for 90 days or 75 days. Some people wash cabbages with vinegar, which helps remove some dirt and kill some bacteria and or even some insecticides, but never acts on all chemical residues on the vegetable because of the method even the vinegar is applied. So, in conclusion, majority cabbages are served with the chemical residues. This can be cumulative for the frequent consumers, especially the youth who eat the barbecues every week, every evening at the roadside, the chicken, the goat, the pork, and they are not clean, including nakati, which is also commonly served and is also sprayed. So, how about others? The acaricides. These acaricides are pesticides which kill members of the arachid subclass, which includes ticks and mites. Acaricides in Uganda are primarily used for controlling tick infestations on cattle. We have commonly 5 groups: the amidines, which are a bit safe because their half-life is short when sprayed on the animal within a short period, or even if they land on ground, their half-life is short. We have synthetic pyrethroids, which I've already mentioned. They in the insecticides used in deep, and what they have long half-life, and therefore environmentally unfriendly. So when used low dose usage easily creates resistance, and pyrethroids are easily consumed in the food chain. Organophosphates, these are also used in combination with so many, and when they reach the animal, they settle in the fatty tissues, and also you can get them in the milk. they stay in the soil for some months. These are also chemically easily to ingest in our food chain. Then co-formulations are also very dangerous. Then the cyclic lactones, they are also available for tick control, flies. Most people use them because they chase away flies, kawawa, and these also break slowly, and you can find them even available in the cattle manure, soil, water, and this impacts on the beneficial insects like bees and others. So even acaricides are very unsafe if not properly used. What are the common risks in our community? I apologize, I've reached my time. Maybe I give some few minutes, I'll be concluding. Pesticides
Please
are
go.
inhaled. Okay, thanks. Pesticides are inhaled for a long exposure in low doses, like those who spray because they don't use gloves, they don't use masks, and during spraying or even ingested, some are talking while spraying. And also, as we have seen, unwashed green leaf or prepared or boiled fried. So we inhale them. That is a common way of getting insecticides in our bodies. Whereas insecticides increase production because they kill all insects which attack our crops and are safe for most non-target species. Their careless and excessive use produces residues that have been found to have long-term detrimental impact on human and animal health. Resultant effects are non-communicable diseases, high incidences of respiratory issues, neurological disorders, endocrine disruptions. You find babies' growth are an issue. I'm sure the doctors on this floor can tell you. And also, we are observing childhood obesity. There is reproductive disorders, gastrointestinal disturbances, cancer. The Cancer Institute is now overflowing. Neurodegenerative diseases, often associated with occupational exposure. Headaches, nausea, dizziness, eye skin irritation are common. And there's a lot of allergies and in the community, depending on duration and intensity of exposure, whether direct or indirect, or consumed in food, or lynched in water, or inhaled from the environment. And depending on the kind of pesticide and concentration or strength used. And these days, since we use combination, it is even very, very challenging to determine the exact nature of the risk. We have cosmetics which we use and we want them in our common life. Cosmetics products encompass a wide range of skincare, makeup, and personal care items designed to cleanse, protect, and enhance appearance. Key products include serum, vitamins C, salicylic acid. They are moisturizers, sunscreens, and specialized makeup foundation and highlighters. The community these days can't live almost without any cosmetic use. But certain makeup products have ingredients such as preservatives, colorants, and fragrances that can irritate skin or cause inflammation and increase melanin production. Formaldehyde is one of the chemicals which is commonly found in these, or formaldehyde-releasing preservatives. Parabens, heavy metals are some of the regulated contents that are linked to hormone disruption, contact dermatitis, cancer, and reproductive issues. These are easily absorbed through the skin or are inhaled. Phthalates, often listed under the term fragrance, when you see fragrance used to make scents linger, are linked to hormone disruption. So be careful with the cosmetics used. And common visual effects are dark spots known as post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or PIH, or commonly we know them as benign macula. How can we avoid exposure to these chemicals? Supporting the body's detoxification. The body naturally detoxifies through the liver, kidneys, and lungs. By reducing exposure, that is limiting contact with the processed foods and environmental chemicals, you are helping the body. Dress properly with protective gear, gloves, mask, gown, boots, eyeglasses in industry, or when applying chemicals in the gardens, or even spraying in our homes, or avoid direct or indirect contact with chemicals. Ensure proper post-harvest management of food, that is cleaning, washing, and also sorting. Wash properly all fresh foods, vegetables, cabbage, tomatoes, nakati, that is commonly known as Solanum aethiopicum. Best is to hold the fruit or vegetable under flowing water in a strainer. This removes the more insecticide than soaking the produce. It's recommended to soak for at least 15 minutes, which majority never observe. But soaking is double-edged, especially where you have already chipped the product. That again, some of the chemicals can seep back, especially if the fruit is a bit withered. It means it's lacking water, so it will absorb whatever has been in the soaked. So a quick rinse in warm water works well for insecticide removal. It's not recommended to wash fruits or vegetables with soap or detergents. Use only water, because you might think since there are chemicals, let me use detergents. Also, wash properly all preserved cereals, especially beans and maize, because they use chemicals, insecticides, to preserve them, which are bad for human use. Store properly and sort cereals, especially groundnuts and maize, to remove affected ones, to avoid aflatoxins, typically formed during growth, harvest, storage, processing. And during processing, especially in our shops, they sort out the very good beans, the groundnuts, for frying and packing as fried groundnuts. Then these with the aflatoxins, they are left and grounded for those who want to use sauce. But cooking and boiling sometimes reduces the aflatoxin. Following professional guidelines on use, management of plant, animal, and bird products, recognizing the withdrawal period after treatment of, say, birds and animals. If they say after 3 days, when you have treated the egg, your chicken, don't eat the eggs, please don't eat, or don't eat the meat. Always check for the post-harvest intervals, such as on the chemical they write, say 3 days for galley if used for controlling insects in fruits and vegetables, or 14 days for tetracycline in animals and birds, or in meat broilers, 3 to 7 days, or in layers, 3 days, don't eat the layers or the eggs. Let's observe this in our homes and we'll reduce access to chemicals. Health habits support liver function with a balanced nutrient-dense diet, and also reducing alcohol intake, which works on our liver. Go for medical evaluation. Health training schools are requested to train more cadres in management of toxic exposure, and seek professional advice if you feel you have high level of exposure of any of the chemicals we have talked about. And also, we can avoid by informing a friend how to avoid this exposure. Those who have attended our today's session, please inform others on how to avoid some of these. Having said all that, Uganda, as a country, is also taking some action. Our leaders, Uganda is actively banning and recording hazardous agrochemicals due to cancer risks, environmental damage, and product export rejection. As of April 2026, the government has recorded 18 widely used agrochemicals, including popular herbicides I've mentioned, the insecticides, some of those I've already mentioned, and the fungicides, giving dealers a deadline to comply with the ban. Key hazardous specific agrochemicals and insecticides, acaricides, and pesticides such as paraquat, carbofran, and chlorpyrifos are banned or under strict restriction. So I know all the farmers on this platform have been going to the market asking for paraquat and the rest. No, those are now banned in Uganda, and more will continue to be banned. National Drug, the recently passed National Drug and Health Products Act 2026 had Part 7, which provides for regulation of cosmetics. We didn't have any clear law regulating cosmetics. And Part 10 provides for general regulation of medical devices, cosmetic products, public health products, and nutritional supplements, including the requirement to comply with the standards of Uganda National Bureau of Standards. And Part 11 establishes National Drug and Health Products Laboratory, which will be checking these cosmetics and public health products to ensure they are safe for use in our communities, in our homes. And also, NDA banned the use of these acaricides due to cancer risks, environmental damage, and the acaricides NDA banned includes alpha cypermethrin, fipronil, like diazinon, chlorpyrifos, carbonfran, the methoate, diclovos, and others, especially combined. And farmers are advised to rotate these chemicals frequently, say after 6 months, to avoid resistance. Also, Uganda launched locally produced anti-tick vaccines, that is TickVac, Uganda by Makerere University, and NaroVac by Naro, to protect livestock without toxic residues. So they'll be using vaccines instead of acaricides. What do we go with from this sharing information? That our environment is full of toxins which are harmful. We can avoid contact to minimize their dangers. We observe, care, or in manufacturing, storage, and use of chemicals. Always use protective gear while applying or spraying chemicals, acaricides, herbicides. Handle food carefully, especially post-harvest management, and observe withdrawal period. Always wash vegetables with running water. Follow the SOPs in case of accidental inhalation, ingestion, or physical contact, and immediately seek medical attention. Also inform a friend on how to avoid toxins. Just in case you have encountered these, what can you do? If swallowed, drink a lot of water or milk, drink activated charcoal, and seek medical attention. Don't give anything to an unconscious person who has ingested any of those. If the person is unconscious, don't attempt on the two above. If it is in the eyes, rinse with a lot of clean water. Never add detergents or soap. If it is on the skin, remove the clothes with the poisonous material, rinse skin, and run running water. If it is inhaled, move outdoor and avail fresh air. If injected, like a snake or stings and what, seek urgent medical attention and try to identify the agent which has caused the bottle or the sample and inform the health worker. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I apologize for the time shown. Over to you, Dr. Christine.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Sematiko. I'm sure many of us are wiser, a little bit scared, but wiser. Because of time, I want to allow questions and answers, which will be managed by Dr. Philippa, so that we really get to the bottom of our worries. Dr. Philippa, could you take the question and answer, please?
Right. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Sematiko, for that presentation. You've left us happy and scared at the same time. So we'll have some questions for you from the audience. I'll be selfish and start with a request from myself to ask you to just go over, because towards the end we were rushing for time, but just to go over for us again what we need to do, for example, for fruits and vegetables at home to prevent or reduce the risk of exposure to the chemicals, and then for the other meat products. And then after that, we can go, we will take the questions from the audience. Over to you, Dr. Sematiko.
Okay, thank you very much. I apologize for my speed because I wanted to cover a lot and in the limited time, because sometimes getting a bit is better than completely no information. The best way of handling fruits and vegetables in our homes, first, is to make sure that when you get the fruits, I will start like with the cabbage, which I gave as an example. You remove the leaves as normal, yes, then you chop the cabbage, but then you rinse the cabbage leaves, or whether it's nakati, or whether it is the mango you are going to eat, you rinse with running water. If you don't have running water, you rinse quickly rinse in a bucket and pour away this water at least 3 times. You first rinse, pour away, second rinse, pour away, and then the third one, you can now, whether you eat fresh or you are preparing. What is very important is to make sure, because most of these acaricides, pesticides, and the fungicides are water soluble. So when you rinse in the running water, then whatever is rinsed goes away. The risk of soaking is that, especially cabbage, you have already chopped the cabbage, and some of this cabbage has stayed more than a week or two in the market, so it is dehydrated, so to say. So it will like to take up more water. So you risk having the chemical which have already diluted in the water again being reabsorbed in the tissue of the cabbage or the fruit. So rinsing, especially with running water, is the best. And then you can now, for cereals like maize, like beans, and the groundnuts, sorting them is the best. Sort them, and also like for beans, you must wash them. And some people recommend that even after washing, you can even rinse them overnight, and then in the morning you pour away that water, because the chemicals used are water soluble. They will go with the water, and then you have your clean fruit. If it is a fruit, I've seen people who only just use a small cloth, brush off the tomato, and they peel and eat. All these mangoes, tomatoes, almost every product we have on our market is now sprayed. So wash, especially with running water. If you don't have running water, rinse in a bucket of water, clean water, and then throw away. By the way, what I did not mention is that among the risks we have, high pollution is our water. You've seen in my presentation that 80% of our domestic water, which is not from national water, is not clean for domestic use, which means even the water you are going to use for washing your vegetables and fruits should be clean. If you are not sure of it, if it is from the borehole, first boil it, cool, and then wash. Warm water is the best to dissolve these insecticides and fungicides. If you can have warm water, rinse, and then you're good to go.
Right. Thank you very much. That was very helpful summary. And it touches on part of the question, one of the questions that's in the chat. Another part of that question was, for example, red grapes have a whitish layer on their skin, which despite washing with water does not go off. But when you wipe with a serviette, it comes off. So the question was if this white layer is a result of spraying with chemicals. And I think we also see that white layer on tomatoes. You mentioned somewhere that we shouldn't use soap when washing. Could you just talk a bit about things like grapes and tomatoes and how to get that white layer off?
Yeah, most of these grapes, tomatoes are sprayed with fungicides, and most fungicides come up in powder form, or when they are sprayed, they end up settling as powder, and it's normally white. So most of the white surfaces we see are fungicide residues. So the best thing is to wash clearly. Of course, the grapes have rough surfaces, and maybe they hold on these. That's where a bit of soaking can be, is mainly fungicides. So soaking can help to dissolve, and then you wash thoroughly. But
Right.
don't use
Thank you.
detergents or soap, just water.
Okay. Right. I saw some hands up, but they have since disappeared.
Yes.
In the meantime, there's a question, another question. Thanks for the presentation. I have an underground water well in the Namgongo area. Does this mean that the water is not safe for use?
Underground water.
Any comments on that?
Where the
Yes,
statistics.
underground water well in Namgongo.
Yeah, the statistics from National Water and Sewage Corporation is that most underground water are unsafe for food, especially if it is found in the urban areas. They are very highly polluted because of the many pit latrines around, sewage which is running on top. And if it is in the rural, yes, chances of having underground water clean is okay. I have a friend who works, who digs these underground
Dr. Sematiko, we lost you there for
the,
a minute. Okay.
the surface water or that near the pit latrine levels does not seep into ground, whether it is from an underground well uh, or a borehole, to be safe, because according to records of national water, they are polluted, and that's why national water does not authorize digging boreholes around the urban areas for fear of that contamination.
Right, thank you. I'll
Over
give
to
a
you.
chance to David to unmute and ask his question. David?
Thank you very much. This is David Martin, I'm a doctor by profession. Dr. Sematiko, how can we help the community with this information? Because we're about 46 on this presentation, and I think we are representing millions of Ugandans who are unaware. And to my best, according to what I know, we are here, but a maid at home is helping us. Someone, a helper at home, is cooking for us already. So how can this information be put to the ground so that people can really understand? Or else we shall end up eating the same food from restaurants, from where, because we don't prepare everything that we eat ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask Muhammad also to unmute, and then Dr. Sematiko can answer the two questions from David and Muhammad. Muhammad?
Yes, thank you so much, Philippa, and thank you so much for this, for having this coordinated and put together. We'll never stop thanking you, and sorry, we'll never stop thanking whoever has, all the members that have coordinated this. Yes, so I think mine is mine, like Dr. Christine said, it's kind of as it's leaving us worried. Because you look at the food chain where it starts from the garden, then to the transport, to the markets where we buy these things from, then also to the home, with a lot of there's a lot of information that we don't have about that entire chain. Even in our homes, like the previous submission was, like the maids are in there doing their thing, they don't know how to wash the mangoes, like all these things, like there's a lot that we don't even have control over, but however is happening. So that really, it leaves me kind of more worried actually than I was before. Look, I think we're at risk. Maybe these are things where maybe God's intervention. Of course, we always have to ask for God's intervention, but it's really it's amazing. Oh my God! Like where do I even control the so-called markets? These people who fumigate. It is really very complicated. But I think, like I said, we still have to do something about it. So, for example, I once worked for a chicken, one of the companies that prepare chickens, and there's this chicken that we all love to eat. It's kind of hard. We know it's a calibolingo coco Buganda, the normal parent stock. Those big chickens that we love to buy and prepare. So in developed countries, those chickens actually shouldn't be eaten because their role was meant to lay eggs to be hatched. So now over here, the chickens are heavy, they are big. If you bought it for your mother or father or for your home, everybody will be like, but they're cooking and they'll be so happy. But those chickens are dangerous. They have a lot of toxins and all that. The drugs that they inject them to be able to lay those eggs are really, really, really heavy and more sophisticated. But however, all that is not known by people. We don't know people don't know all that. The people who rear chickens, we all love chickens. Most people on this platform love chickens. We almost have chicken once in a week. But these chickens, when the farmers are taking care of them, they give them drugs, complex drugs that we have no idea of. And the purpose of these drugs is to make them gain weight. So they're even chickens, I'm told, we eat after, is it over 3 weeks? We eat them. So these are all intoxicated. And now I'm like, oh, how do we control it? Maybe we have to go a bit of some more vegetarian at some point. But the aspect of eating maybe chicken 4 times a week just because you can afford it, we need to go past that. Do some bit of vegetarian. Maybe doctor will advise on how we can manage this. I know we can afford the chicken, but can we do a little bit of maybe some vegetables, a bit of that? That could help in a way. The question that I had, doctor, had to do with at what point at what point do we really have to manage which foods are more risky that you would want to tell us to be cautious about? Like I said, I think on this one, go slow on it, or this one, be more extra vigilant. Maybe what foods do you think do we have to really be more certain of, and be more careful? Then also there's this bit of the ACs. ACs have become a big thing. People have them in their offices. Some people even have them in their homes, and they would prefer to have the AC because after all they can afford it. He have already put in his mansion, and they prefer using the AC. Maybe I would like to be highlighted this. There really isn't the AC. Is it better than our natural air? I'm seeing it, and I don't know. Are we risking? Because I'm yet to understand how it works. That's the science behind it. That would be a good one on how to do that. And then maybe are there also which drugs are they are called these drugs that are normally meant to kill or to disinfect, or what do you call them, antioxidants? I don't know. I think that the presenter will be able to shed more light. Are there some herbs or some drugs? Like I'm told charcoal. Charcoal is important. We just see it as what we use, charcoal that we use to cook in homes. I'm told if someone has had maybe has had some poisoning, I'm told charcoal is helpful. Is charcoal really helpful? Like what antioxidants could be helpful to help us at least manage some of these things? But I think we are in trouble. Sorry, thank you.
Right, Dr. Sematiko, if you can be so kind as to answer those two.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I thank those who have asked for their being present and the care. First to Dr. Chiza, I think the first and most important is for our government and legislators in parliament empower and make sure the regulatory bodies, the Bureau of Standards, the National Drug Authority, MAIF, they all do their work. The NEMA, because it is all round, as you have seen in the presentation. We have pollution in water, pollution in air, pollution in food. So it is all round. That's why you see last year there was a discussion in Parliament where they were saying the MPs are being given cars. Let's have their cars to be electrical so that we reduce on pollution. If we can have those 500 cars electrical, then we will have reduced the pollution and other citizens will copy. We are seeing many others because, as you have seen, the air in Kampala is 5 times more dangerous than WHO standards. So empower the regulators. As for the community, maybe we might need some funding so that we move and talk to these people, because I have produced this presentation in English. I've used a lot of technical words and names. For the people caring on our behalf at home, they need a more simplified and acceptable. We could have more radio programs in the language they understand and also explain to them. So we need some specific funding because you can't do this voluntarily and reach everywhere. We might need more radio programs, TV programs, and reach out to the community. So we need to lobby. Maybe our team here, the members, can do that to help the community. These talks really can put an impact. I'll give you an example. One time I talked to a Christian community in Mitiana Diocese, and after that we went for lunch, and they had served cabbages on that among the foods available. But after my talk, none of the people picked the cabbage because everybody was asking, was this one washed the way you have explained? So the message can always reach, and people go home. Even some mothers were telling me, you are too late. We have been consuming these things. So as for Mr. Mohammed Maweje, the long cold chain, I mean the long chain, it is right from food, as you've seen, the cabbage right from the garden to the market. There are many preservatives. You said which foods are more safe or which are more risky. As I said, that we need to empower the regulators. The food chain, you know, even fish, some people are pouring poison on fish so that they catch many. They use chemicals in preserving fish so that when you come to the market, it is not rotten. And what they use chemicals to preserve beef so that it doesn't go bad. They use chemicals to preserve milk so that it doesn't go bad. So all the foods are in danger. We need regulators to frequently check and control. As you said, for chicken, yes, they give hormones. And this is not only in Uganda, it is world over. I know of one chemical, which I will not mention because some people might rush to go for it, where people give to the pigs and the pig gets at least 1 kilogram every day. So if somebody keeps a pig for 90 days, it is 90 kilograms. Now, that chemical remains working in the pig even after slaughter. So when you eat it, you get this chemical in your system. And these are mainly hormones and they affect. No wonder when you go to if you check, I'm not leaving you scared, but if you check in our schools, especially the urban Kampala schools, and you go even the primary schools, you look at the children, and you also go and look at children in the rural areas. There's a difference. The obesity level, the use of eye glasses, these have impact on our community indirectly, and some of us don't observe it. So we need to empower Ministry of Agriculture, NDA, NEMA, and what so that they check on all these food chains. So which foods are most risky? I wouldn't recommend any. Take care on all the foods you are, unless if you grow it at home and is organic. But if you have seen some chemicals are even in the manure, so you can go and get manure from a cow, which they used these chemicals, and is even in the manure. That's why when you take food to even Europe, they want the source so that they come up the farm and they say, what did you use? You say, I used manure from whose farm? So and so's farm. Which chemicals does he use? So you see, there is that tracer method which we have not yet reached. And as far as ACs are concerned, yes, ACs are dangerous. Like I, for one, I don't want to sit under an AC. But when you see the air pollution of Kampala, for example, which is 10 micrograms, recommended, and it is 50, 10 times more. Then the use of ACs have filters. Sometimes they are called heat. They can heat or chill, and then they filter the heat. They can chill. So the ACs sometimes are even an advantage where the air pollution around is so toxic. I know in one of the research which was done in Japan, there was a theater which was near a highly polluted area, and patients from that theater were always getting diseases, and they realized that the filters in one of the ACs of the theater had gone wrong. So they only checked when the level of patients getting infection was high. Then they put new filters and they went normal. So even in places where the environment is so highly polluted, a filter can help you through the AC. So it's not all that bad, but for some people, the AC is not the best. But if our environment is polluted, we have to go in for the ACs. There's antioxidants, yes, some there, but you can't garbage in, garbage out. You won't eat polluted food and say I'll eat antioxidants and they'll do well. Like these people who fake machines on the roadside and they say put in your feet, then they tell you we are filtering the chemicals in your body. Try to eat healthy, wash the food, avoid those. I give an example. On my farm, I have cows. I told them once you spray them, never take the milk. So I went there one day, and in the morning they give me a tea without milk, and I say, "Oh, today you didn't milk." I said, "No, because you said for you don't take the milk when the cattle has been sprayed." That means, much as I tell them, you have to frequently mention that you repeatedly tell them that it is not me. All of us shouldn't take the milk. They know that me, I don't take it, but for them, they decided they take it, they don't give me, because me, I observe the withdrawal period. So constant, I know we shouldn't give up. Even the church, every Sunday they are preaching, but sinners are never out. Charcoal, yes, charcoal, especially we say activated charcoal. The processing makes it wider. It has a wider surface area. It can absorb most chemicals. It is not selective. That's why we say give charcoal, but rush to for medical attention. So charcoal tries to absorb the chemicals and it reduces. It also absorbs gases. So even if you have a polluted room and you bring in a sack of charcoal and it stays there for 1 hour, you can remove when the room has the fumes have surpassed. So charcoal is a good absorbent of many chemicals. That's why it is recommended. But that's also the very reason why we don't recommend to take charcoal together with other medicines, because it might absorb the active ingredients and then you are left with no medication. So charcoal should be taken also with care. I think that's so
Right.
far what I can mention.
Yes. We have some more questions in the chat that I'll go through briefly, and then you can answer. Someone is worried about saloon chemicals and artificial braids. What's your comment on that? And then there's a question about
chemicals?
tomatoes. Is removing skin of tomatoes? Sorry, what was that?
Which chemicals is he worried about?
Okay. Worried about saloon chemicals and artificial
Okay.
braids.
Yes.
Okay. Then is removing skin of tomatoes, mangoes, etc. before eating helpful in removing toxins? Kiza, we've answered that. Is it advisable to use vinegar for soaking fruits and vegetables? And we've talked about lobbying. Does washing fruits and vegetables with soda bicarbonate help remove pesticide residues, bacteria, or other potentially harmful? That's a question. Potentially harmful substances, or plain water is sufficient? And then, sorry, that's just a comment. What foods can be added in diet that help detoxify the chemicals? Is it the antioxidants? I think you may have talked a bit about that. Please throw more light on weed killers, e.g. lumbugu, weeds, etc. Are the herbicides on the market safe given the rampant use? As responsible individuals, should we stop their use entirely in our homes or farms? The question about soda bicarbonate has been asked already. Yes, those are the questions we have. Over to you, Dr. Sematiko.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I also thank them for attending. And there are those who say they have got a lot of interruptions due to network. I apologize, and I also have some challenges with network everywhere. On the issue of chemicals in saloon, yes, we have so many issues with chemicals in saloons, and that's why this new law came of regulating. Some of these are immediate, others are long-term effects. They also affect the environment. When you pass a salon, you hear the fumes. So even there, you can be selective. Secondly, having said that, we also need to train the people who work in the salon. It is our health. We think you have to go to a clinic, somebody looks at you, you have to go to a vet. Now, the people working on our hair, we don't give them any training on chemicals. As long as he or she comes to the salon, 2 days she's working on you, putting a chemical X, chemical Y. I even know of one lady who lost her hair because they mixed two chemicals and the whole hair disappeared. They rushed to wash and it was too late. So much care, and I think National Drug Authority is going to do a lot after this new law to check on which safe chemicals can be used. Those for short term and long term. Some were already banned in other countries, but since we had no law here, it was very difficult to weed them out. Of course, some work on the skin and they penetrate and they affect, and we use them even on children. So that is also a long area. On the tomatoes, removing the skin, yes. Of course, removing the skin has some bigger protection, and because some of these chemicals don't penetrate, as we said, they are surface, like the fungicides, they don't penetrate inside. Once you peel, you are safe. That is recommendable, even for some diseases like cholera and when there's an epidemic. I know when I was working for WHO, one time we had to go in in India, and we were advised, the briefing, they said, if you can't peel it, leave it. So the advice was, if you can't peel any fruit, any whatever, leave it. So it means peeling can help. But as I said, looking at the chemicals in line, some chemicals penetrate. So peeling definitely helps, and continue. The vinegar, I already mentioned that vinegar helps in killing residue bacteria. Remember, the insecticides, mainly some are for the fungi, for the insects, but there's some bacteria also, especially for foods which are picked in the garden, like nakati and cabbages. So vinegar is recommended for use because it also kills some bacteria. As you apply it, and also run some good volume of water. Usually recommended up to 10 to 15 minutes after washing and rinse, then you rinse, but we don't have all that time. So if you can use vinegar, first flush the water and then you also rinse, then you are safe to go. Soda bicarb, that one reduces the pH and it acts more on the acidic, the balancing and whatever. Yeah, so it can't cover all. So running plain water is the best, because for you, the user, you don't know which particular chemical you are dealing with, whether its pH is acidic or alkaline. So the best is use plain water and a lot of it, and for that matter. What to add in that, as I said, the best is preventive. If you can try to prevent, of course, health eating, but even what you are going to eat, if not well checked, if I can say, eat a lot of fruits. But again, these fruits, you must again observe this care. And so, because usually most fruits can do you good, a good fruit diet and vegetables, but which again must be worked on. Weed killers, as I said, we use glyphosate high percentage. The common ones, the djembe and what are around 48, 50%, but sometimes those which are 52 and above, that's what people use on lumbu and it disappears. As I stated, some of these are systemic. It works on top and it goes up to the root. So frequent use is not advisable, but if you use it once, clear the lumbugu, you are good to go. But even when you are using it, take maximum care. As I said, glyphosate stays in the soil from 120 days, that is 4 months to 6 months. So if you use it frequently, then you know your soil is contaminated for so many years. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sematiko, for the presentation and answering our questions very patiently. I'll hand back to the moderator to close the session.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Philippa Makanga. And once again, Dr. Sematiko, we are really, really grateful for this exposure. Many of us walk in while we are blind, and we eat while we don't know what we are eating, but we are wiser today. I just wanted to add on a little more on the chemicals. As he spelled out, some chemicals are banned from entering, but we know our country, these chemicals actually, some of them do come in. And what happens is that people change or change the label or change the bottles or whatever the containers and still sell them. Something like for Lumbugu, it's been Roundup has been sold for time immemorial, and they keep selling it. They just put it in different containers, and when you go, someone will tell you, Chilala, this is this. So what my advice would be that if you are involved in farming of any sort and you want to use chemicals, do choose the right and source. That is, choose a shop, a supplier who has a name to keep. People like Baygon, or something like that. They are not about to chupula things. They have a name to protect. But if you go to someone with 2 shelves and whatever, be sure they have put this in the wrong container and all that. Sorry to accuse them, but this has happened. So just take precaution. Where do you buy the chemicals from? And maybe the other thing which we need to digest more with Dr. Sematiko is the sprays used to preserve the fruits, the food for export. I don't know whether it's been 100% covered, but I think that's an area we'll have to explore with you later on after this session. And once again, thank you so much. We shall, each one of us, try to multiply this, starting in our homes with our helpers. As I said at the beginning, we have helpers in the kitchen and helpers on the farms. Try to educate them, try to help them see the danger and how they can help you not to be exposed 24/7. And the other thing the doctor has mentioned is to grow your vegetables. There are types of dodo which grows 24/7. And whether it's dry or wet season, that type of dodo is there. You don't have to spray it. I don't know where it came from, but it's an indigenous type of dodo. It grows anywhere. You can even when you don't want it, can grow in your garden by just dispose of those seeds. It grows on its own, Jamela Jane. So try to get your fruits or vegetables grown in your garden as flowers. it could save you a little bit of chemicals. Thank you so much, our good listeners. I see my friend Muhammad, I think the hand was forgotten up. Is
Sorry,
it?
Dr. Philippa. No, it was a real hand. And
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm asking this now. Of late, in an effort to manage cost, everyone is digging wells in their homes. Yes, to cut cost on water and sustainability. But I keep asking, is that really safe? The water that is coming from down there, we don't even know. It's not even purified, but we just drill and drink. I don't know. Is it safe? Is there anything? But lastly, I'd also once again like to thank you, Dr. Christine, for really managing and coordinating this. You're really changing and impacting on our lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Maweje. I will not answer the question about wells, but I will recommend that maybe you take a sample to National Water. Is it in Bugolobi or Luzira for chemical analysis? I used to do it some good years ago, and it was 64,000 to do water sample analysis. I don't know what it is now, but that's possible. If you had money to dig a well, just go ahead and do an analysis now and then to keep safe. Yes. The takeaways have been clearly mentioned by Dr. Sematiko. I won't go through that again, but just to remind you that we shall be here on the 27th of June. Please come on again. And this time we shall be dealing with chemicals, but let's call it drugs, human drugs, which we have been prescribed properly or self-prescription, and how those interact within our bodies. Today we've seen the environment, but next month we are going to touch particularly on those which we have been prescribed to use to relieve our various diseases, and that will be dealt with in our next session, so that we round up the whole picture of chemicals, toxins outside the body, and those which are supposed to be lawfully in our bodies. Once again, I want to thank you so much for coming in and apologize for the glitches we've had and the late start, but we appreciate your coming, and please spread the word around, starting with your own homesteads. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Mhm.